Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my True Story Tuesday, or if this is your first time watching it, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Nelly and I'm glad you're here. True Story Tuesday has been about a relationship that started off perfect and it ended up in domestic violence. That story happens to be my experience in that toxic relationship. And as I keep uploading these conversations, they are becoming a bit triggering, overwhelming, and just really heavy to hear. So if you guys need to click out or you guys need to pause the video, I completely understand. I mean, I was bawling in the last one and I had no idea that that was gonna freaking happen. But it did. I'm human, whatever. You guys all saw me crying already. At that point, I don't care what state you ever see me in. It's not always very easy to find a community where you are heard or where you are understood, or just to know that you are not going through this by yourself. And if you are that person, then I would keep on watching. Or if you are someone that knows someone else that's gone through or is going through a toxic relationship right now and you don't understand why they can't walk away, I would also keep watching, because maybe through my story, through this conversation, you will understand. Understanding someone is the biggest compliment we can ever give. And on that note, just because you understand someone does not necessarily mean you accept what's going on. Understanding is saying, I know why you're being this way. I know why you're saying these things. I know why you react this way. However, it does not mean that you have to accept what that person does, says, or makes you go through. You just simply know why that person is being that certain way. And a lot of the times it's because people are brought up a certain way, or that's what they see and they learn it and then they put it back out into the world. And that's what I mean when I say understanding someone. Okay, so last conversation we talked about the second stage in that relationship, which was experiencing isolation. And it started off on social media and then it ended up in person isolation. Just to give you a quick little recap, it was basically making me feel already. I guess I also didn't mention this, but I guess I'll give you a little bit of the background. Before I cut off from certain people, he already made me feel like there was no one else that understood me the way he understood me, or loved me the way he would ever love me. And then at the same time, it was just like, there were times where certain words were said because of a certain way that I was feeling. So if I was feeling a little vulnerable, then certain things would be done and certain words would be said that would make me come back and feel like, yes, this is okay. This is a person that I should be with. And then once that happened, once that was established, then that's when isolation kicked in, because everything would just kind of go back to, well, I love you the most, I care for you the most, there's no one there for you like I am there for you. So now in this conversation, I am going to talk about my third stage in this relationship, which is violent threats and the physical abuse. And in this conversation, I am going to give you guys 4 short stories. The 3 are pretty light, but the fourth one is going to be the heaviest of this entire conversation. And I'm going to, ease our way into that part of the convo. Also, I know I said I wasn't going to do my makeup, but I promise I am not going to cry. And, well, I mean, whatever, right? I'm human. I might get emotional again, but I want to do my makeup because this whole thing was supposed to be like do my makeup and then I get to try different looks. Not that I'm a makeup artist. I am going to try a spooky look. If it doesn't come out the way I think it's gonna look like, well, so let's start with story number 1. Okay, so story number 1, this happened. Oh, by the way, we literally only dated for a year and a half, And I know that's not a very long time to some, or to some it might be like, oh, that's really long. But to me, now looking back, like that's not a really long time. But in that year and a half, a lot of crap happened. It all started the 5 month period in our relationship. And then from there, everything just started like going downhill. Just to give you guys like a timeline, I guess, in a way, or just like an idea of how fast something can really just switch. All right, now we can start story number one. Okay, so story number one goes like this. So it was already in the winter time, because we had just gotten back from another Congress. And this one is international here in Chicago, and it's amazing. I mean, it's international, so obviously that means all over the world. So you can only imagine the kind of flavor, the kind of concerts, the energy, the performances, the social dancing, the contest. I mean, it was amazing. We had a good time, as always. However, this time, one of the many times that he screamed at me this way, and I just was not for it. I remember we were driving back home, and he started yelling at me because I asked him a question. And I asked him a question about his friendship. Now, really quick, in the future, I wasn't able to, or he didn't like it when I would ask him questions about friends. Even the ones he would talk to me about, he would like show me pictures and like tell me stories. And then I would get really excited and then ask him like, oh, well, when can I meet this friend of yours? When can I meet him? When can I meet her? Like, I really like them already through the pictures and the stories that you give me. And he would just go off and just be like, why do you need to meet them? Why do you, like, why is it important to you that you need to meet them? And why do you like need to be their friend? He was just very like defensive towards that, and I never understood why. I mean, going back to the story, that night, we were going back home, and that's what I asked him. I asked him, so when am I going to be part of your world the way that you're part of my world? Boy, did I opened a can of like some, I don't know what the heck. Wow, this primer is making me look really sticky. Okay. I don't know why that ticked him off so bad, but he started yelling at me. He's on this side, I'm on this side. And then he starts yelling at me. He literally like stops the car. He like parks the car. We're a block away from my house. And he parks the car and he starts yelling at me. I don't really remember what he was yelling at me or what he was saying when he was yelling at me. But I just remember feeling like the warmth of his breath and then like a little bit of spit like sprinkling on me. Because like how upset he was. Actually, I'm going to try this look really quick. Yelling at me. And then I turned around and I looked at him and I said, don't ever yell at me. That was not the last time he ever yelled at me. One, my parents don't disrespect me like that. They would never ever do that. So I don't need you to do that. Two, I am not a child. Not that a child should be spoken to like that, but I do remember telling him that. Three, we are young adults. You could say it with words without yelling. Talk to me. Don't yell at me. Use your words. Off track a little bit. If something is bothering you, whether it's your partner, a friend, relationship, your sibling, you have the power to speak with that person, and you have the material, which are your words. If there is something that is bothering you, you need to speak with that person and let that person know. This is why. Because if you don't tell that person what they're doing or saying bothers you, guess what? They don't know. So they're going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it again. And then one day you blow up, things get blown out of proportion for no reason. Teach me how to treat you. Teach me how to respect you. Teach me how to communicate with you, because everyone communicates totally different. Kind of going back to the story. I didn't say that exactly to him, like word by word, but I know I gave him that idea. I know I said, if there is something that you need to talk about, we can talk about it. Now on to number 2. Story number 2 went like this. I woke up because he woke me up. However, the way he woke me up was nothing that I expected. I woke up on the floor with my mattress. And then I look over and then I see his feet and I look up. And you know when you're using a camera and it's like out of focus a little bit and then it goes into focus, literally that was my eyesight when that happened. And I got up right away once I realized that I was on the floor and that he flipped me over. Actually, he flipped me with the he flipped the mattress off of my bed and I fell with it. And I remember getting up and I was like whisper scolding, like, oh, what are you doing? You know, but like really like mad. And I was whisper yelling or whisper scolding because mom's room is right outside my room. So I was still in a way like trying to like cover up the way he was acting. I'm telling you, I was so freaking dishonest in this relationship. It's not even funny. He started actually raising his voice. Like there was a point where I remember that he wasn't like yelling, screaming. Like he was like raising his voice, like really like talking to me like loud. And I remember I kept telling him to like put his voice down because they were going to hear him. And I didn't want them to know that he treated me that way. His reason for him doing that, his way of justifying to me at the moment, that's what it felt like. His reason for justifying his actions was because I didn't answer my phone. Why would you do that? He said, well, you didn't answer your phone. What if I needed you? What if I was drinking and you didn't wake up? You said that you would do that. Like if I was drinking, you would come and pick me up or like help me out. Yes, that is true. I said I would do that, but there's something called being asleep and not hearing your phone. I remember that. I remember that night. Now on to story number 3. We actually had just gotten back from Mexico. He was in Mexico with me and my family. I'm not gonna lie, I did not personally invite him to Mexico with us, but somebody else in my family did. When he arrived to Mexico, because he didn't arrive with us to Mexico, I believe he came over like a week later, but when he did arrive, I remember having mixed feelings. You know that feeling when you're just really used to someone, so you like their company, even though you know it's not the best thing for you. You're just so used to someone being there that it doesn't matter if it's gonna be a shit show anyway. I felt like happy, but I wasn't that happy, but I was. If you know what I'm feeling, let me know if you understand. But I don't know if it's us being comfortable with someone, but that was the case. Anyway, so we came back from Mexico and we went to a social. And then by the end of that night, he comes up to me and he says, hey, I am going with my team, because he was on a team by that time. Let me give you a little backstory. He said he joined a team because he wanted to share what I felt, the feeling of something that I truly loved, which I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I thought at the moment, I was like, oh, that's pretty nice, I guess. And then he told me that he wanted to join my team, the team that I was on, and I told him not to audition for my team, because that was my only time that I had to myself. Imagine that. Not even my own home. Not even the place where I lived was my safe haven. So when I went to practice, it wasn't only just practice. It was like, whew, I'm getting like this weight off my chest. Like I can breathe, I can move, I can speak, I can think for myself. I can be this strong woman that I want to be, this outspoken person that I know I am. And surprisingly, he actually respected those wishes. So he tried out for a different team and he made it to the team. He said, well, I'm going with my team and I'll just see you at your house. I looked at him and I said, well, then actually that's a great idea. That works out because I'm actually also gonna go with my team and, just finish the night off there. And yeah, I'll see you back at my house or tomorrow morning. I already knew that he was not gonna like that I said that. I honestly did not care if he was upset or not. So, but I also knew that he wouldn't say anything in front of anyone. Like he wouldn't really say much, but like he would make it obvious that he was upset, but he wouldn't act the way he really would have if it were just him and I alone. I'm in my mom's car because she always lets me use her car, and that was so nice of her. And then I hear like a loud knock on my window, and I said, "Oh," and then I said to myself, "Well, here we go." He starts telling me that, like, what are you thinking? You know, I don't like you hanging out with those people. Why are you doing this? Like, you're only doing that to make me mad. Like, you know, like, do you not love me? And like the same monologue over and over and over again. At one point, I was out of the car and I'm pretty sure, I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty sure I came out of the car because keep in mind, when I was in this relationship, I was just like, ugh, I was the nastiest version that I could ever be. So I am pretty sure, I am not gonna kid you, I am pretty sure that I came out of the car to talk mad shit to him. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I never did that because I did. Even though I was smaller than him, I did not back down too easily. And there was a point where I was like, look, you're doing the same thing that I'm gonna do. I never talk crap about you. I never talk crap about your friends or the group that you are in. On the contrary, I push you to do that kind of stuff. I mean, in reality, I pushed him to do that kind of stuff, or like to hang out with his friends and be with this group or whomever he was going to be, because that was literally the only time I would have for myself. And he also would not like that, by the way. He would be like, what the heck? What do you mean? Wouldn't it be nice if I missed you, Riley? Like, yeah, it would be nice if I missed you. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't love me anymore? Like, what are you saying? Like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was just a bunch of crap. Now I got eyeliner on my leg. What the? Oh, it broke. Dang it. I don't, oh goodness. All right, let's see. And then she looks like she has it down her eye. I also don't have the steadiest hands. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Sorry, back to the story. He bear hugged me facing him. I started crying because obviously it started hurting, but the more I would try to breathe, like take a deep breath in, the tighter he would hold me, which made it hurt even more because he's compressing on my ribs and I'm trying to expand them. I remember fighting back and I was like punching his face, I think, or I was trying to. I know I got like a good grip on his cheek or like somewhere on his face, just so like, you know, like let me go. And I don't know if he let me go because two of my dance team members were walking towards us because their car was parked near my mom's car, or because I was like hurting him enough and then it just so happened that my teammates were walking by. Lets me go. I took in a deep breath and boy, that shit hurt. And these are not the same lanes. Okay. And that hurt so bad. So I started crying even more. And then I walked over. Well, not really walked, but did more like a walk, limp, jog all at once. I don't know if that makes sense. But I walked over to them and then they saw me crying and then one of them says like, well, what's going on? And then I said, well, Riley just bear hugged me. Okay, this is way more complicated than I thought. My hat's off to all the makeup artists out in the world right now. Because this may look really easy to you guys, but I don't even know what in the world. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna fill this in. I don't know if it's supposed to be with eyeliner or not, but I'm just gonna do it. Like he walks over like aggressively, like not like ready to fight, but like very aggressive, like abrasive, right? I started saying something, and then I'm behind both of them, and the one teammate grabs Riley, and actually puts him in a headlock. Made it very clear, like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'll hold you until you come down, and then I will let you go. That worked because Riley did come down. Riley started saying like, oh, well, Nelly is drunk, and you guys don't really know her. However, I was not drunk. Even my teammates were like, what are you talking about? Like, she's not drunk. Well, you don't know that. And I know that, and you don't know this. And then basically, he was just being like stubborn. And my teammates they're like, okay, you know what? I think they asked me if I wanted to go with him. And I said, no, I'm not going with him. I'm going like with you guys. Like that was the plan because his plan was to go with his team as well. We watched them leave. And we waited until he left. And then we all looked at each other. And I'm like, guys, I'm not drunk. And they're like, yeah, we know. I followed them to the destination that we were going to. I was already kind of embarrassed because my mascara was running down, kind of like this. Like, damn, people are gonna know. Like, I don't want people to know like what's going on. Even though I do, and I know it's gonna be a little contradicting to say this, but even though I do enjoy a good social media outlet or just social media in general, I am a very private person. Well, I came in looking like a hot mess, and then they're all there, and we were all a pretty close team. So us asking each other like, "Hey, are you okay? Hey, what's going on? Like, are you feeling okay?" It was like a normal like conversation. Right? A couple of minutes later went by, and then another close friend of mine, who is still a very good friend of mine, he comes up to me and he goes, "Riley's outside." And I'm like, "How do you know that?" He goes, "Well, he just texted me. He wants to know, like, can he talk to you? Do you want to go talk to him?" I was like, "Hecky, no. No, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him right now. To do what? Like, put on a show for everyone? Like, no." That was story number 3, the bear hug, right? Now on to story number 4. Before we start number 4, just a little heads up, it is gonna be a bit graphic. Whenever I think about it, sometimes I'll just like kind of like tear up, remind myself like how I'm in such a good place right now, and that what I went through does not define me, and it does not mean that I attract this kind of person in my life or that I want these kind of people in my life. That is not what that means when I open up and tell these stories, or when I tell this story. Say it again before I start the story. I want to share my strength and my honesty and my freedom, because one day I also hope that you will have the courage to do the same thing. It's really important that we break a cycle. If I get to one person, even one person, then I would consider myself successful. That would make my heart feel so full and so complete, and just very proud of myself. So here we go. All right, this time it was fall, and this was shortly after the bear hug. That night we were sitting in his car, but we were sitting in his car after we went out. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm trying to look at the picture to follow the color scheme, I guess. This looks very I'm gonna try it. Guys, if I end up looking like Boo Boo the Fool, I am sorry. I had just gotten back from, I don't know where, but I know it was a great time. It was a great time. I asked him a question. Again, anytime I would ask him a question, I literally had to be like, okay, is he okay? Is he good? Are we good? Is he calm? Like, I literally had to analyze everything around him and me to even determine if I should ask him a freaking question. That's the damn sad truth. I remember him starting to get really upset. And in my mind, I told myself, we just had a great freaking night. You didn't judge any of my friends, because we were with my high school friends at that time. I just didn't want it to end badly, because I really had enjoyed my time. He quickly got mad over a freaking question that I asked him. Okay, if you can't be yourself around someone that you claim to love, or they claim to love you, you need to analyze and realize that is just that's not okay. Like, that's not how a relationship should be. You should be able to express yourself and be free to express yourself without having to analyze anything. Anyway, I remember telling him, I need to use the restroom, so I'm gonna get going. Because I thought he was gonna be like, all right, well then just like get out of the car, like bye, But he was like, no, we're talking. Like, he was just really stubborn about like us having to talk. So I open the door and I walk out. Well, he didn't like that. So as I'm walking, and I'm only like a couple of houses from my house, like I'm down the block from my house, and I start walking towards the direction of my house, which means I have my back to him. And I can hear him coming up behind me because he's like arguing about that I shouldn't walk away, and like, you see, you don't care, like, why do you always do this? You always have to walk away, Nelly, like, blah blah blah, this and that, right? Well, he was so upset to because he wanted to make his point come across, his point of like, why do I have to ask him questions that are not necessary according to him. And he put me in a headlock, chokehold. No, not a chokehold, but like his elbow was right here to me, and I was being dragged like backwards, basically. Like I was walking backwards because he was like, no, you're coming like with me back into the car. So we were walking towards his car, and then he opens the door, and as I'm being shoved into his car, I then hit the arched part of the car, the top part of the car, and my temple right here just smacked, like literally right in the middle of like this part right here. It just hits the car, and I just remember being like so confused. I got an instant like head headache here, and like all of this right here. And I just remember sitting in front of his car, like sitting in the passenger seat, thinking like, what the fuck just happened? What in the world? And then survival mode just kicked in. Inside of me, I was just like, Nelly, you need to get out. You need to get out, and you need to go into your house. Like, no matter what, that is your goal tonight. You need to come up with a lie. You need to tell him something that, for him to believe, and him to let you go. That was literally my goal of that night. And he gets in the car, obviously on the driver's side, and he proceeds to yell at me and scold me. And I don't remember exactly what he was saying to me, but I do remember hearing his voice like coming in and out, coming in and out. And then I was looking at him, and I remember looking at him. He was like, whew, he was livid, boy. He was not having it. And I remember like, okay, survival mode, Nelly. Like, just don't like get him any more mad. Don't say anything, because you need to get the heck out of there. Whatever you do, you're going home tonight. And I remember climbing to the back of the seat, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out. I'm leaving, and I'm gonna get out through the back of the car. Well, I went to the back of the car. I climbed to the back of the car, but of course, I wasn't moving as fast as I thought I was. And I also didn't realize until later, like days later, that I was concussed. And I was moving, but it wasn't the way that I wanted to move. Like in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm moving to the back and I'm getting the fuck out. That's not the way. That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all whatsoever. I would go and try to open the door, but obviously he had the key also, so he would just press the button. I mean, he sits in the back with me, and then he continues to yell. And then out of nowhere, I remember I just kept telling him like, well, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee. I really need to go. I need to go. I need to go. I need to go. Again, not as cohesively as I'm saying it now, but I was saying that to him. Then out of nowhere, you know that Perry Katie song? Da na 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 na. Well, it was literally like that reaction. It's like he was hot, and then he was cold. He started acting like real nice. The same old monologue. That's not gonna happen again. I love you. I know you love me. If you love me, let's talk this out. No one understands me like you do. No one understands you like I do. He's already on this side. I'm on this side of the car, in the back part. And I looked at him and I said, I'm scared. And he's like, no, no, don't be. And then inside of my head, all I kept thinking was like, Nelly, like, you should not be terrified of the person that loves you, and you should not be terrified of the person that you say you're in love with. And the truth is, I was super terrified. I was scared. I was survival mode. He was protective mode for himself. He knew that if I went home, that my family would see me in this state, and then they would ask me, and then I would tell them. So in his mind, he is doing the right thing for himself. He's protecting himself. He's looking out for himself, which what person wouldn't look out for themselves if they were going to be in trouble? Not saying that he was right, but I guess I'm just trying to let you know, like, that's like his thought process, right? Leans forward and he's like, well, babe, give me a kiss, coming in this way. And I said, no, no, I don't want to kiss. I don't want to kiss. And he grabs me by my shirt. Again, he's on this side, so he grabs me this way and he pulls me towards him. But when he pulls me towards him, he moves out of the way. So he's pulling me like this and just pulls me like this, which resulted in me hitting the window with my entire face. So my face it just hit. I instantly started crying. I instantly started feeling so emotional and just kept thinking to myself, like, how can this person do this to me? I don't remember the pain. I think I was more like emotionally damaged and like mentally damaged and just like, what the heck, because before that I was already mentally like confused and hurt and emotionally like devastated and just like I didn't understand why he did that. I didn't understand why he thought that was the right thing to do. I remember feeling of blood coming down my nose, on my top lip, and then like my bottom lip. And I remember I touched it, and when I saw that, it wasn't like a lot of blood. It wasn't like gushing everywhere, but it was bloody. And when I saw that, I started crying even more. And I kept saying like, why, like why, like why? And he's like, oh no, I'm sorry. Hold on, give me a minute. Because in my mind, I thought that if I told him I need to use the restroom, that he would believe me and let me go. So I kept telling him like, I need to use the restroom, I need to use the restroom, I need to use the restroom. And that didn't work. And then I remember being in front of his car because, and unless I'm mixing it up from the first time that I got hit on my temple here, but I remember sitting there and I just was looking down and I kept like almost like rocking and then rocking. And then he said like, okay, you need to use the bathroom. Okay. And then I think I let my guard down there because it's like, oh, okay, he believed me. And then he's like, I know a place. That's the last thing I heard, him saying that. And then for some reason, we wake up in Steak and Shakes. And I know Steak and Shake is not by my house. Steak and Shakes. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it's Steak and Shake. I don't know. Now, I lived in Logan Square. Steak and Shakes is nowhere near my house. Steak and Shakes is by the Allstate Arena. And I know that because I've been to that Steak and Shakes and because I've been to concerts at the Allstate Arena, and that's where I would go eat if I needed to eat something. This is my chance to tell somebody in there that I need help. And then I remember going to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I looked so out of it. My nose was swollen. Now, I guess because I was younger and like smaller, my nose did not, like to a normal eye, my nose did not look, it did not look damaged at all whatsoever. I know my body, obviously. So it was, to me, it was, I knew it was really swollen. And I also couldn't really breathe out of my nose. But I remember touching it and I don't remember feeling the pain. No blood. I would have thought like, oh, there was like dry blood, but I don't know if I wiped it off or maybe Riley wiped it off. I went to the cash register. I couldn't say like, nothing came out of my mouth. Nothing would come out of my mouth. Also, now that I think about it, I didn't have my phone. Or did I? I mean, duh, right? Like if you're trying to not have anyone find out, the phone is not gonna be on me. It's not gonna be like, here's your phone. Obviously not. I couldn't really say much, so I just left and I went back into the car. And then I remember going in the back seat because I did not want to sit up front with him. And this time, I get woken up because I was violently being baby shook, like scolding me. He's like, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You weren't waking up. Like I was doing this for like a good 3 minutes and you weren't waking up. And when he said that, again, like survival mode, I was like, what the heck? I wasn't waking up. I need to stay like awake. I need to stay awake, Nelly, because you're going home tonight. You are going home tonight. And that's all I kept telling myself. And I kept telling myself, like, don't argue. Don't fight with him. because if you are, you're gonna make him more mad, and you just don't know how and where that's going to end. Okay, so then I'm still laying in the car, and I see like darkness, but like trees and like white street lights. And then I remember, like, this is not the city anymore. I remember I told myself, like, this is not the city anymore, and this is not where I live. I'm telling myself that. I was like, where are you, Nelly? Try to figure it out. Like, what do you see? What do you see? Just laid there, and I was like, okay, maybe he'll just like stay out of the car and like wait for me to, like, I don't know, feel better or look better, and then he'll take me home. Well, that was not the case. Say this is my head, and these are my feet. And I remember him going first and trying to open this side. He was trying to open this side of the car door, but I would like lock it with my finger. And then at the end, he came over around and he opened the door. And I remember saying like no, like I was like trying to move like my legs. And obviously he grabbed my legs. He grabbed both of my legs, and then he pulled me out. He pulled me all the way out. Well, as he pulled me out, let's say this is me, right? And let's say this is the outside of the car, or this is the car right here, or like right here, right? He pulled me out, boom. I hit the car, like the bottom part of the car, like that, when you open the door and that bottom part right there, and then he pulls me out, and then, well, what's there? It's cement. It's a parking lot and it's cement. So then the back of my head hits that. Then I started crying all over again. And I'm talking about like ugly crying. Like I was like hysterically. And I remember crying because, of course, like, damn, like, how could this be me? Like, how could he be doing this? Like, how can someone have the heart to do this to someone they say they love? And I remember also crying because then that's when I felt the pain coming like the back of my head, but then it like traveled to the front, and then it just like expand. Holy crap. I think because of the like my nose already was hurting, the pressure of that just hitting this, that hurt so freaking much. And on top of that, I couldn't even breathe through my nose. So I was like crying. When you're crying, you don't breathe properly. So like on top of that, it's like it hurts. I'm crying and I couldn't breathe. So I was like freaking out. And I'm like, what the heck? Because it was dark as heck. And then I get picked up by him. At this point, once that happened, it was like game over. Like I couldn't move. I was basically his rag doll. It literally, Riley would pick me up and then like shove me because he wanted me to keep moving. Again, I'm thinking that he is, just making sure that I don't end up home that night and then tell anyone like what happened. That's what makes sense right now, right? I remember walking towards something that looked like, I know it wasn't like a random forest, but it looked like a forest preserve, if that makes any sense. Because I remember on the left side of the open path that leads you into like the woodsy area, let's see, I remember it being on the left side, and it was like a reddish brown wooden box with glass, and inside the glass were posters. And I kept telling myself like, Nelly, try to take a picture of everything that you see in your mind. Like, what do you see? I would ask myself like, what do you see? And as he's like pushing me like onto like my fours, and then he'd pick me up and he'd like keep pushing me, and I would just tell myself like, where are you, Nelly? Like, remind yourself like you're gonna go home tonight. The last time I remember him pushing me down to the floor, I told myself like, what do you feel? What do you see? What do you smell? And I started touching whatever was on the ground, and I remember feeling dirt and like wood chips and twigs. And then I look to my right and I see leaves, like small leaves, and trees. And then I followed the trees up, and they were still full. I remember looking past the trees. And I remember seeing the night sky. It was so, so clear, and the stars. And I remember seeing the stars being so bright and so close. It literally felt like I could just reach out and touch them. And I remember telling myself, like, what a beautiful place. Too bad that you're going through this, Nelly. And then I told myself, well, maybe one day you'll be able to come back and have a different experience in this location. And that unfortunately never happened, and it still hasn't happened because I don't know where I was at. I do remember him like turning around and saying stuff to me, and then I literally looked at him and I said, like, why me, like, what did I do to you? You know, I was crying. And then I said, why? I kept saying, like, why me? And then he must have gotten like tired of me asking him those questions. And then the next thing I know is I am on my back and he is on top of me. And the way that he is on top of me is either, I swear I remember it was his knees on my chest, but I don't think so. I don't think his body would fit on my body like that. I remember just feeling something really, really heavy on my chest. It was either like on my chest or really, really close to my neck. So it was either like here on my chest or really close to my neck here. And I remember I couldn't breathe and it hurt a lot. And then the next thing I know, I wake up in my house, my bed, and he was next to me. And then I told myself, like, okay, you made it home. You made it home. You're alive. Like, you're good. And then I remember waking him up rudely, and I said, you need to get the fuck out. Like, you need to leave right now. Like, he had the audacity to come and still come to my house and lay down. And then he was upset that I woke him up that way. He was upset that I woke him up in a very bad manner. Sorry, I know I'm saying and a lot. I'm trying to keep myself from crying because I worked hard on this. Whatever this is, I worked really hard on this, and I don't want it to I don't want it to be washed away. I'm trying to prove to myself that I could do this. I told my friend like what happened, up my shirt, and then I showed her all of the bruises that I had on my left rib and side. They were so purple, it was like really bad, and on my right side. And if I'm not mistaken, I had like bruises like here, like inside of my arm, like where you couldn't easily see. There were no bruises on my face besides a little bit of like a swollen nose, but again, like my nose was way thinner than what it is now, so it wasn't that noticeable, I guess, in a sense. But you know, she's been around me. She's like, yeah, I noticed your nose looked a little like you look like you can't breathe. And I said, well, you're not mistaken. I was never like judgmental, like really. I think that's why she was like the only friend that I had at that time, because even though she knew that Riley was not good for me, she would always say, well, I trust that you will take yourself out of it. You know, like, I trust that you will do it. You know, it has to be done because, Nelly, this is not you. This is not, I've never thought that this would be you in this kind of relationship. She knows, she would always say, like, leave it to us to be in that kind of relationship, but never you. Like, that's not who you are. And I think that's why I just didn't feel judged. And if you're that friend or family member, shout out to you guys, because it is so hard for someone to open up about the way they're being treated, or the way they're being talked to, or the way they're being manipulated, or, you know, just on all that spectrum, on all that abusive spectrum. Shout out to all you guys, because you guys make it easy to talk about things when it's not. Because of that friend, I was able to realize that, yes, I am this person that she is saying, you know. Unfortunately, that was not the last time that I saw him. But however, that was the last time that we were like official relationship. Now, the reason why I say 2 years, because I did mention it earlier, it's because even though we weren't together, we were still seeing each other. You know, like when you're not with someone, but you still see the person, and then in your mind, you're dating. So that's what that was. That's what that was. And it was obviously a secret. I wouldn't tell anyone, not even the friend that, no, actually, she was the only person that knew that I was still seeing him. But every time I would see him, I would send her my location. I would tell her what I was wearing and what he was wearing. You know, so even then I already knew it wasn't like safe for a sense of closure. And that's how it was for a couple of months, because I was so sure. I was so sure and so convinced that this person was going to change, that Riley was going to go back to who he was. That was never the case. He was never going to do that, at least not while we were together. One of my mistakes. I think we can change people, and the honest truth and the harsh truth is that we cannot. We cannot change anyone, and we cannot force anyone to change, because that change will not happen unless that person wants to change. If that person does not want to change, trust me, you're wasting your time and you're only hurting yourself and that person. And then there's going to be resentment and aggression towards each other, and then a loss of respect. And once the respect is gone in the relationship, there really is no point. And this person lost respect for me from the moment we were 5 months into the relationship. And I wanted to say, and I would say that, oh, I still respect you, but I did not. The minute that I also started putting my hands on him whenever he would try to, hurt me, or when he would verbally say things, I would also verbally, say things back. That was also a loss of respect, And it just didn't help us both. At the end of the day, I don't hate him. I could never hate him. I would like to think that he went ahead and got help, and that he's better now, and that he's in a better mental place, emotional place, and a physical place, because I do believe that when he was treating me that way, there were some inner demons that he was fighting. I'm not, again, by any means, I am not accepting, and I'm not saying that it's okay that he treated me. As much as I needed help to get out of that relationship, to understand psychologically that that is not how I should be treated, keep going back, he also needed that help to realize why he's treating me this way, why he's talking to me this way, why he looks at me at a certain way and thinks that it's okay that you can hurt someone else. I don't know. I don't know if there's any right way to, I don't know. There's something in his life that brought him to that. There was something in his life that made him think that that was okay. He thought that I was a good punching bag for him, because he probably realized or knew that I was still going to stick around. And just like that, there's also probably something in my life that I witnessed or that I saw that made me think that that was okay, Just because you're not getting physically hurt does not mean that you're not being emotionally abused, mentally abused, or verbally abused. My advice is, no matter what relationship you are in, whether it's your sibling, your best friend, your mom, those relationships are just as important as the one that you will have in the future with your partner. Treat your sibling with respect and love. Treat your mom with respect and love, because, oh, by the way you treat your mom is the way you are going to treat your future partner, and vice versa, And I do believe that it's good. Treat them with respect, because all of that, the way that you start a relationship will always carry on with you, and it'll always grow. So if you start a relationship with lying and yelling and aggression, guess what? That lying, those lies, that aggression, it's going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing to every other relationship that you are in. About it and ask yourself if you're treating that person with respect, if you're treating that person with love, if you're being kind to that person. Are you really listening to them? Are you understanding them? And most importantly, are you giving them a safe place for their character, for their own personality, and vice versa? That is all very, very important. Well, I think this is it for this conversation. And again, thank you guys for hearing me out. Hopefully, I can get my current boyfriend for the following vlog, I guess, or conversation, and we can talk about how we met, and just like the story of like how we met. Before I leave, love yourself first, love yourself unapologetically. Adios. That's that's that is all from that relationship. Whew, that was a lot. I'm sorry.